I still remember the sound of the rain that day. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was just steady, cold, and endless, like my life had become. I can't do this anymore, Lena said. I stood there holding a plastic bag with medicine inside, my hands shaking. Do what? I asked. Be with me? Love me? She sighed like I was a problem she was tired of solving. Don't twist my words. I'm not twisting anything, I said. You're leaving. She crossed her arms. I'm choosing a future. I laughed, but it came out broken. So I'm not part of that future? She looked away. That silence hurt more than any answer. I said, Lena, I'm sick right now. I told you that. The doctor said I just need time. You've needed time for 3 years, she snapped. Time doesn't pay rent. I'm trying, I said. I swear I am. She shook her head. Trying isn't enough anymore. The rain soaked through my jacket. My chest felt tight. We promised, I said quietly. You said we'd struggle together. I said that when I thought you'd change, she replied. I felt something tear inside me. So this is my fault? She looked at me then, really looked at me, like she was measuring my worth. I don't want to be poor forever. I don't either, I said. But leaving me won't make you rich. It'll give me a chance, she said. I stepped closer. What about love? She laughed softly. Love doesn't keep the lights on. That laugh crushed me. Mark stood under the store awning nearby. He had been watching, pretending not to. He finally walked over. Lena, he said, calm as always, maybe don't do this in the rain. She glanced at him. I already made up my mind. Mark turned to me. You okay? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to lie. Instead I said nothing. Lena picked up her suitcase. I'm staying with Jason for now. The name hit me like a punch. Jason? I whispered. The guy from your office? She didn't deny it. He's stable. So that's it, I said. You replaced me. I upgraded my life, she said coldly. I grabbed her wrist. Please, I said. Just give me a little more time. She pulled away fast. Don't do this. Don't beg. I'm not begging, I lied. I'm asking. You're asking me to drown with you, she replied. Mrs. Allen's window opened above us. Everything all right down there, she called weakly. I looked up. Yes, Mrs. Allen, I said. Sorry. Lena muttered, you can't even pay her rent. That was the final cut. I said, I loved you. She paused, just for a second. I know, she said. That's why this is hard. Then she walked away. I stood there long after she was gone. Mark touched my shoulder. Come inside, he said. You'll get worse out here. I shook my head. Let me feel it. He hesitated. You need help. I need her, I said. She chose herself, Mark replied. You should too. I laughed again, weak and empty. With what money? He didn't answer. Later, I dragged myself upstairs. Mrs. Allen met me at the door, coughing. Rent's late again, she said gently. I'm sorry to ask. I know, I said. I'm trying. She nodded. I know you are. Inside my room, I collapsed onto the floor. My phone buzzed. A message from Lena. Take care of yourself. I stared at the screen until it went dark. My chest burned. My vision blurred. So this is it, I whispered. This is the end. No one answered. I curled up on the cold floor, shaking, broke, alone, and finally understood something terrifying. My life didn't fall apart that day. It ended. I woke up gasping, my chest tight, the world spinning. The ceiling above me wasn't my ceiling, or at least, it shouldn't have been. My hands shook as I pushed myself upright. I blinked and recognized my old apartment, the peeling wallpaper, the cracked tiles, the faint smell of mildew. But something felt off. I touched my face. Warm. Breathing. Alive. No, this can't be, I muttered to myself. My voice cracked like glass. I died. Mark's voice came from nowhere, though I could hear it clear in my head. You had to learn, you idiot. You can't repeat the same mistakes. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror. The reflection was mine, young, worn, but alive. I touched the glass. I'm alive. I'm really alive? Tears stung my eyes. This isn't fair, I whispered. I was gone. I left everything behind. A memory hit me like a punch, Lena leaving in the rain. That laugh of hers, cold and sharp. The suitcase. Jason. Every word replayed in my mind, burning me alive again. I can't let that happen again, I said. My fists clenched. I can't be weak. I can't be poor. I paced the room. I know what's coming. I remember it all. I know her betrayal. I know my failure. I won't make the same mistakes. The thought made my chest tighten. I could feel rage boiling under my skin. She thinks she won, huh? She left me for stability. For money. For safety. My voice grew louder. But not this time. Not ever. I stopped at the window and looked outside. The street was the same as it had been years ago, empty and gray. My old neighbors went about their lives, unaware that I had been given a second chance. I have to do this differently. I have to change everything, I muttered. The first plan came to mind. I would start working harder. Smarter. I would remember every business mistake, every lost opportunity. I would save money, invest, build a life she couldn't touch or manipulate. I almost laughed at the thought. And what about her? I whispered, bitterness curling in my throat. What do I do about Lena? I imagined her face, wet from rain, pleading and breaking. My stomach twisted. I wanted to run outside and shake her, yell at her, make her feel the pain I felt. But no. Not this time. Not until I was ready. I sank onto the floor and let my head rest against the wall. I can't believe I'm back, I whispered. My voice shook. I was gone. Dead. And now, my hand pressed against my chest. Now I get a choice. I thought of Mark again. In my past life, he had tried to warn me. You have to stand up for yourself, he'd said. Don't let anyone walk over you, even Lena. I shivered at the memory. I failed him. I failed everyone. I grabbed my phone, hoping for some message, some sign. Nothing. Only emptiness. It's mine to fix, I said aloud, a trembling determination in my tone. Everything. I start now. I won't wait. I opened the drawer where I used to hide my bills. past life debts stared back at me like ghosts. I remember it all, I said. Every late notice. Every threat. Every time I begged for mercy. I slammed the drawer shut. Not this time. Not ever again. The first step was small but critical: survival. Food, water, health. I needed to be strong enough to fight, to endure. I found some change in my old coat pocket and headed outside. The city smelled the same: wet asphalt, exhaust fumes, faint bread from a corner bakery. But everything looked different: opportunities and traps I now remembered. A man brushed past me on the street. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, casual, unaware I had cheated death. I nodded, forcing a smile. Yeah, just thinking." The rain began again, soft and cold. I tilted my head up. I survived once. I can do it again. I can be smarter. Stronger. Richer. My teeth clenched. And she won't leave me again. I imagined Lena walking into my future life, expecting the same weak me, the same desperate man. I laughed softly. Not this time, Lena. Not this time. Hours passed. I walked aimlessly, my mind racing with plans. Every mistake from my past life became fuel. Every lost chance, every wrong turn, it was all a map now, guiding me to a different ending. I returned to my apartment as night fell. The walls, familiar yet foreign, closed in around me. I sat on the floor, knees drawn to my chest. I get it now, I whispered. I see what I missed. I see what I could have been. A sudden knock on the door startled me. My heart raced. Who is it? I asked cautiously. No answer. Just the echo of the knock. My fingers trembled as I opened the door slowly. Nothing. Empty hallway. I whispered, this is it. My chance. My second life. I took out my notebook, an old habit I'd started to track debts, then abandoned. I began writing down everything I remembered: business ideas, contacts, mistakes, timing, opportunities. The pen scratched furiously against the paper. I will not fail again, I said, voice steadying with each word. Hours turned into night, and I barely noticed. I sketched out plans for jobs, investments, even personal strength: mental, physical, emotional. Every line was vengeance against my past weakness. Every word was a promise: I would survive. I would rise. I would never be poor again. By the time I leaned back against the wall, I was exhausted, but alive in a way I hadn't been before. For the first time since Lena left me, I felt purpose. Not love. Not money. Purpose. And it burned. I closed my eyes, letting the exhaustion take over. Tomorrow, I whispered. Tomorrow, I begin. But even as I drifted, I could feel it: the rage, the hurt, the betrayal, lying beneath the surface. Waiting. Sharp. Ready. And I smiled, because now, for the first time, I had a chance to repay life on my terms. I woke up early that morning, the sky gray and heavy. I didn't feel tired, not really. My body ached, my hands were raw from scrubbing floors, but my mind was awake, alive in a way it had never been. I remembered Lena. I remembered everything. And I swore to myself I wouldn't let her memory weaken me this time. I brewed black coffee and stared out the tiny apartment window. I can't waste time, I muttered. Every second counts. Mark walked in like clockwork, carrying his usual calm. You're up early, he said, glancing at the mop and bucket I'd left in the corner. I don't sleep much these days, I said. Too much to fix. He leaned against the counter. You look different. Determined. I smiled faintly. I am. I have to be. No mistakes, Mark. None. You're serious about her? He asked quietly. I shook my head. No. Not her. Never her. Not this time. Good, he said, relief in his tone. Because she'd destroy you again. I took a sip of coffee. Exactly. The bitter taste was satisfying. This time, I'm in control. I choose hunger over love. Every time. He frowned. Hunger over love sounds lonely. Lonely keeps me alive, I said sharply. Love got me beaten down before. I won't make that mistake again. I packed my old bag and left the apartment, feeling the weight of the world settle on my shoulders. The streets were familiar, but I saw them differently now. Every alley, every shop, every face, opportunity or threat. And I would learn to use them all. I stopped at a small cafe, hoping for some work, anything that would keep me busy and solvent. I noticed Sarah Lynn behind the counter, organizing menus and giving polite smiles. She caught my stare and returned it coolly, with a sharpness that made me sit up straighter. You're new around here, she said. Sort of, I replied. I've been gone. She raised an eyebrow. Back from where? I smirked faintly. Back from nowhere. Trying to make it somewhere. Her lips curved. Everyone's trying that, isn't it? I nodded. Some fail. Some succeed. I plan to succeed. She studied me a moment longer, then turned to serve a customer. I could feel her eyes on me even as she moved away. There was something, calculating, precise. Someone I might learn from, or someone I had to watch. Later, I walked past the corner where Lena's favorite coffee shop used to be. I imagined her sitting there, laughing with some man who wasn't me. My chest tightened, but I didn't falter. I clenched my fists and kept walking. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. I met Mark in the afternoon. Got a job for me? I asked. He nodded. Yes. Long hours, hard work. Pay is decent if you last the week. Perfect, I said. I'll take it. You're really different this time, he said quietly. You're focused, but cold. I shrugged. Cold keeps me alive. The work was brutal. I carried crates, swept floors, ran errands, anything to earn, anything to prove I wasn't weak. The more I worked, the more alive I felt. The more alive I felt, the less I thought of her. But I never forgot. Every drop of sweat reminded me of the nights I had cried alone, waiting for her to come back. One evening, I sat on the curb, hands blistered, chest aching. I could chase her, I whispered. I could beg. But I won't. Mark handed me a bottle of water. She's not worth it, he said. I drank, eyes burning. She's not. But remembering her fuels me. Every mistake, every moment of weakness, it drives me. You're building yourself, he said. But don't lose yourself in the process. I shook my head. I'm not. I'm stronger than I was. I'm smarter. I can't fail this time. Weeks passed, and I started making real progress. Small jobs turned into contracts. Contracts turned into savings. I remembered every detail from my past life, the exact times businesses collapsed, the mistakes I made with money, every foolish decision. I used that knowledge like a map. One night, while counting coins on the cracked kitchen table, I heard a soft knock. My heart skipped, but I stayed seated. "Who is it?" I asked. "Delivery," a quiet voice said. I opened the door. No one was there, just a small envelope on the doorstep. I picked it up and tore it open. Inside was a business flyer from a company I'd remembered failing years ago. Opportunity? Test? I didn't know. I smiled faintly. "I remember you," I whispered. I spent that night planning. Strategies, routes, methods, I plotted everything meticulously. The world had given me a second chance, and I wasn't wasting it. Lena didn't exist in my plans anymore. She was a ghost, a reminder, a motivator. But nothing more. Mark came over late, sipping coffee. "You're obsessed," he said quietly. "Good," I replied. "Obsessed keeps me alive. Obsessed keeps me sharp. Obsessed gets me ahead." "You're different from the man you were," he said. "I have to be," I said. "The old me, he's dead." Days became weeks. I pushed harder, skipped meals, slept less, worked more. I watched Sarah Lynn from afar, noting her habits, her precision, her calm. She didn't trust anyone easily, neither would I. But there was a strange respect forming, a silent understanding. She was a mirror of my own drive, though tempered with patience I didn't yet have. One evening, Lena's face flashed in my mind uninvited. I closed my eyes. I could feel the rain, the suitcase, the betrayal. My hands tightened into fists. "Not this time," I whispered. "This time, I choose me. Hunger over love. Always." I felt my chest swell with a strange mixture of pain and triumph. I was alone, yes, but alive. Determined. Focused. Every failure I had endured in my past life became a lesson, every heartbreak a fuel. Mark sat across from me, watching silently. "You're changing," he said softly. "I have to," I said. "No shortcuts. No begging. No weakness. Only forward. Only stronger. Only smarter." He nodded. "Then go, take it. Build your life." I stood, looking out the window at the gray morning turning into day. "I will," I said. "And when I rise, no one will ever underestimate me again. Not her, not Jason, not anyone." The hunger inside me was sharp, burning, relentless. It wasn't just about money. It wasn't just about power. It was about survival, about justice, about finally becoming the man I should have been all along. I clenched my fists. Tomorrow, I work harder. The next day, smarter. I won't stop. I can't stop. I have a second chance, and I won't waste it. I woke to the sharp scent of coffee and the faint hum of the city outside my window. The apartment felt smaller than ever, yet my mind had grown larger, wider, sharper. I stretched, feeling every ache and soreness, proof that I was alive and working, living, surviving. Lena's face crossed my mind for a fraction of a second. I pushed it away immediately. No distractions. No weakness. Mark arrived like clockwork, his expression always calm, almost disapproving. "You're early," he said, noting my sleep-deprived eyes. "I don't have the luxury of sleeping," I replied. "Time is money. Time is survival." He leaned back against the wall. "You've changed. You're colder now." I laughed, a short, humorless sound. "Cold keeps me alive," Warmth got me left in the rain once. Never again. You mean Lena? He asked softly. I didn't answer. My fists clenched as memories of her betrayal tried to slip through my focus. I refused them. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. You're building yourself into someone unrecognizable, Mark continued. Are you sure that's what you want? I shook my head. I don't have a choice. The old me would be dead by now. I have to survive. I have to win. We left the apartment together, walking down the familiar streets. Everything felt familiar yet foreign, like I was watching the world through sharper eyes. The corners I once ignored, the businesses I avoided, every detail now mattered. Each step, a potential opportunity or threat. We passed a shop I remembered failing. The owner barely glanced at me. I smiled faintly. I'll remember this place. Opportunities hide in the least obvious corners. Mark smirked. You're obsessed. Obsession saved me once, I said. It'll save me again. Later, at a small warehouse job, I met Ethan Moore. I froze the moment I saw him. In my previous life, he had ruined me financially with one careless move. He didn't recognize me now. I smiled inwardly, savoring the advantage. New guy, right? He asked, cocky as ever. Yeah, I replied. Trying to learn the ropes. He laughed, loud and dismissive. Good luck. You'll need it. I nodded, smiling faintly. I don't need luck. I need focus. And I have plenty of that. Mark nudged me later. Don't underestimate him. I don't, I said. I just don't care what he thinks anymore. Hours passed in hard labor. My hands blistered. My muscles screamed. I smiled anyway. Pain was nothing compared to the fire in my chest. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. That evening, while resting, I checked my savings. Every coin, every note, carefully counted, carefully planned. I was building something now, something tangible. Something I could control. I wasn't chasing anyone's affection. I was chasing life itself. Sarah Lynn appeared again, unexpectedly. She studied me silently as I worked through my plans. You've been busy, she said quietly. I have to be, I replied. Time doesn't wait, and neither do opportunities. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed. You're very serious. Don't forget to live a little. Living a little got me left in the rain, I said without bitterness, only clarity. I prefer surviving a lot. She studied me longer this time, her sharp gaze piercing. You're different from anyone I've met. Determined, cold, but smart. I met her eyes. Cold keeps me alive, I repeated, almost a mantra now. You hide a lot behind that cold, she said. Don't let it consume you completely. I have to, I said. Or I fail. Or I end up like I was before, broken, abandoned, weak. She nodded, as if understanding but not agreeing. I didn't need her approval anyway. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Weeks passed, and I built momentum. Small business contacts, small victories. Each step forward reminded me how fragile I used to be. Every dollar I earned, every deal I made, every bit of knowledge I applied, it was all revenge against the old version of myself. Against Lena. Against anyone who thought I was weak. One afternoon, Lena crossed my mind uninvited. I clenched my fists, forcing the image out. Not now, I whispered. I'm not her problem anymore. I'm my own. Mark watched me from across the room. You're changing faster than anyone could imagine, he said. But don't lose yourself in the process. I'm not losing myself, I said. I'm finding the real me. The me that survives. The me that wins. I felt the first real sense of control in years. The coldness that Mark noticed wasn't emptiness, it was survival. A shield I had forged with my own pain, my own hands. Every moment of weakness in my past life had become a lesson in discipline, in strategy, in patience. Later, as I walked home in the fading light, I passed the corner where Lena used to laugh with friends. A pang of something, memory, pain, or anger, hit me. I didn't flinch. I didn't falter. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Inside my apartment, I looked at my reflection in the cracked mirror. I didn't see weakness anymore. I saw determination. I saw fire. I saw someone who would never be left behind again. The phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I opened it, opportunity. Don't waste it. I smiled faintly. Not fate. Not luck. Knowledge. Planning. Advantage. I wrote down the details, plotting every move carefully. I was no longer the man who stumbled blindly through life, begging for crumbs, begging for love. I was building power, influence, and a life she could never touch. Mark sat across from me that night, quiet but observant. You're relentless, he said softly. I have to be, I replied. No room for weakness. No room for regret. Only forward. Only stronger. Only smarter. The room felt smaller than ever, yet somehow bigger. Every wall, every object, every shadow reminded me of the man I used to be. A man I would never be again. I clenched my fists, feeling the familiar burn of hunger, ambition, and rage. It was sharp, relentless, and it kept me alive. Lena was just a memory now. A ghost I could use as fuel, nothing more. I whispered into the empty room, tomorrow, I work harder. The next day, smarter. The day after, stronger. Hunger over love. Always. And for the first time, I knew I could survive anything. I was walking home that evening, the streets quiet, my mind sharp as a blade. The city felt alive, but I felt sharper, like I was seeing everything for the first time. Lena's face flashed in my memory for a second, but I shoved it away. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Mark fell into step beside me. You're changing fast, he said. But don't let this obsession destroy you. I'm not obsessed, I said. I'm aware. Every mistake I made before taught me this. Every weakness I had. I've corrected it. You're still human, he replied. And humans make mistakes. I laughed, low and bitter. Not me. Not anymore. I plan every move. Every penny. Every choice. I don't leave anything to chance. A few blocks later, I noticed Lena sitting on a cafe step, looking smaller than I remembered. Her hair wet, her eyes red. I stopped, staring. She didn't see me. Mark nudged me. Don't. She's not worth it. I know, I said. But I want to see it, the consequence. The lesson. I watched as a man, Jason, came up beside her. He looked impatient, irritated. I told you, Lena, we can't do this again. You need to handle your responsibilities. She pleaded softly. I'm trying, Jason. I really am. He grabbed her arm roughly. Trying isn't enough. You've failed me before. Don't waste my time again. I clenched my fists, though I said nothing. My chest burned, but I didn't step forward. Hunger over love. Observation over action. Mark whispered, she chose him. She's realizing the cost now. I nodded, silent. My eyes followed her as she wiped her tears and tried to apologize. But he shook his head, walking away. She was alone again. The city was quiet now, almost mocking. I had survived heartbreak before. I had endured betrayal. And now I saw karma in motion, slow, deliberate, perfect. I didn't interfere. I didn't need to. The universe had a way of balancing itself. Later, I met with Sarah Lynn at the cafe. She slid a folder across the table. You might be interested in this, she said. I opened it. Business opportunities, contracts, partnerships, exactly what I had remembered from my past life, all ready for someone ready to strike. I smiled faintly. Perfect, I said. Timing, precision, knowledge. Advantage. You're cold, she said softly. But smart. I've never met anyone like you. Cold keeps me alive, I repeated, almost instinctively. And smart ensures I stay ahead. She studied me for a moment. Don't lose yourself entirely. Knowledge and power are one thing, humanity is another. I nodded, though I felt nothing. Humanity had failed me before. I had no room for failure now. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. As night fell, I walked past Lena's old neighborhood. Her house looked smaller somehow, less imposing. I imagined her inside, remembering the nights she had abandoned me, the laughter she shared with someone else. My chest twisted, but I didn't stop. I didn't chase. I didn't beg. I had learned the cost of weakness. Mark caught up with me again. You could have helped her, he said. You could have. I don't help ghosts, I said. Not anymore. Every action I take now is for me. Every decision is mine alone. Every consequence. I watch and learn. Later that evening, I sat in my apartment, counting earnings, jotting down strategies. I felt a strange satisfaction watching Lena's life unravel from a distance. Not glee, not hatred, just quiet acknowledgement. She had chosen the path that left her vulnerable, and she was paying the price. The knock on my door startled me. I opened it to find no one, just a small envelope left on the floor. I picked it up, tore it open. Inside was a contract, a note, opportunity awaits. Take it or lose it. I smiled faintly. Timing, knowledge, advantage. My second chance was in motion. I turned to Mark. I see it now. Karma doesn't need my hand. It works itself out. I just need to stay focused. He nodded. You're learning fast. I have to, I said. I won't fail this time. No begging. No weakness. Only forward, only stronger, only smarter. I closed the window, the rain tapping softly against the glass. It reminded me of her, of the day she left. But now it was different. I wasn't the man she abandoned. I wasn't desperate. I wasn't broken. I sat at the table, writing every detail down, business opportunities, contacts, steps to take. Each word, Each plan was a strike against my old self, the man who begged, the man who loved blindly, the man who failed. Hours later, exhaustion caught up with me. I leaned back against the wall, chest tight, hands trembling. Tomorrow, I whispered. Tomorrow I go further. Smarter. Faster. Stronger. Mark watched silently. You're relentless, he said softly. I have to be, I replied. Every mistake I made before, every failure, it drives me. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Outside, the city slept. Inside, I planned, strategized, and prepared. Lena's shadow no longer haunted me, it fueled me. Every tear she cried, every regret she faced, it reminded me of the man I refused to be again. Weak. Abandoned. Broken. I whispered to the empty room, almost as if telling the universe itself, I am alive. I am focused. I am unstoppable. And I will never be left behind again. The fire inside me burned brighter than ever, relentless, sharp, and pure. It didn't matter who came or who fell. I was ready. I was awake. I was reborn. Hunger over love. Always. And for the first time, I truly felt the power of second chances. I walked into the lobby of the bank, my chest tight but my mind clear. Every detail felt familiar, though I had never stepped inside this exact branch before. I approached the loan officer with calm precision, handing over documents I had painstakingly prepared. Years of knowledge from my past life guided me, every number, every strategy, every small detail remembered and perfected. Mr. Carter, the officer asked, adjusting her glasses. Yes, I replied, my voice steady. I'm here about the business loan. I have everything prepared. She skimmed my documents, eyes narrowing slightly. You've been very thorough. I've learned from experience, I said. And I don't intend to repeat past mistakes. Mark hovered at my side, quiet but supportive. He knows what he's doing, he said softly. The officer nodded slowly. Very well. I'll need to verify a few things, but it looks promising. I exhaled silently, feeling a surge of triumph. Every step, every sleepless night, every blistered hand had led to this moment. I was no longer the man who begged for scraps. I was a man building empires. After leaving the bank, I walked past a street corner where I used to beg for spare change. The memories hit sharply, but I didn't falter. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. This is it, I whispered to myself. This is the life I should have had. Mark glanced at me. You're thinking about her again. Not her, I corrected, tightening my fists. The life she left behind. The one I'm finally taking for myself. I found the house I had been dreaming about, the mansion I could finally afford. The gates stretched wide before me, ironwork glinting in the late afternoon sun. I had imagined it countless times, but now it was real. My heart raced as I approached the front door. I turned the key and stepped inside. The smell of polished wood, fresh paint, and opportunity filled my senses. Every room, every hallway, every window felt like a victory. I walked slowly, letting the reality sink in. This was my life now. Mine alone. I can't believe it, Mark said softly, following me. You've done it. I did more than survive, I said. I've built. I've conquered. And I won't stop now. I explored the kitchen first, imagining the meals I would prepare for myself. Not for anyone else, no Lena, no past lovers, no expectations. Only me. I smiled faintly. Independence tasted sweet. Upstairs, I opened the windows, letting the evening air wash over me. I pictured myself hosting meetings here, making deals, shaping my future. Every memory of weakness, every moment of loss, fueled the fire inside me. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Later, I sat at the grand dining table, reviewing my plans. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Mr. Carter," a calm voice asked. "We've reviewed your application. You're approved. The funds will be transferred immediately." I smiled faintly. "Thank you," I said, voice steady. "You won't regret this." The call ended, and I sat back, feeling a strange mix of relief and triumph. For years, I had struggled, fought, and endured. Now the path was clear. I was no longer poor, broken, or abandoned. I was free. Mark raised an eyebrow. "You're thinking about her again, aren't you?" I shook my head. "No. Not her. Just the proof that I've made it. That I survived. That I've taken what I should have had all along." Evening fell, and I stood on the balcony, looking at the city below. Lights twinkled like stars, but they were nothing compared to the life I had reclaimed. The mansion was more than just a building, it was a symbol. Every room, every wall, every stone marked my survival, my effort, my second chance. "I can't believe this is real," Mark said softly. "It is," I said quietly. "And it's just the beginning. I'm not stopping here." The next morning, I walked through the property again, imagining the possibilities. Rooms for business meetings, offices, libraries. I felt the weight of every decision I had made, the sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the hunger. Every choice had led me here. Mark joined me on the terrace. "Do you ever worry about Lena?" I shook my head firmly. "No. She's a memory. A reminder. Nothing more. Hunger over love. Always." He nodded. "Then what's next?" I smiled faintly. "Expansion. Investments. Connections. I've cheated death once. I won't fail again. Every opportunity, every advantage. I take it. All of it." Days passed, and I immersed myself in the work. Contracts, meetings, strategies, I applied everything I had learned from my past life. Every detail, every lesson, every failure was now a tool, a weapon. One afternoon, I received a call from Sarah Lynn. "I've got something for you," she said. "A partnership. High risk, high reward. I think you're ready." "I'm ready," I replied, confidence sharp in my voice. "Send me the details. I won't waste this chance." The next few weeks were a blur of work, calls, and meetings. My body ached, but my mind was sharper than ever. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Every deal, every decision, every strategy reminded me of what I had endured and why I couldn't fail now. One night, I stood on the balcony again, overlooking the city. The mansion behind me glowed warmly, a stark contrast to the memories of cold apartments, unpaid bills, and loneliness. I whispered into the wind, "I did it. I survived. I've claimed what I deserve. And I won't stop here." Mark appeared silently behind me. "You're unstoppable," he said. "I have to be," I said. "The old me, he's gone. The weak, desperate man, dead. All that remains is someone who refuses to fail again. He nodded. And Lena? She's part of the past, I said firmly. I learned from her betrayal. I won't let it touch me again. Hunger over love. Always. That's my rule now. As I turned from the balcony, I saw every room, every hallway, every window as a monument to my second chance. The mansion wasn't just a house, it was proof of survival, of growth, of transformation. And for the first time, I felt complete. Not because of love, not because of forgiveness, but because I had taken control. I had risen from nothing, and nothing could touch me again. I whispered to the empty halls, I am alive. I am free. And I will never be left behind again. The fire inside me burned brighter than ever, relentless and pure. Hunger over love. Always. And I knew, no matter what came next, I was ready. I was in my office, overlooking the city from the top floor of the mansion, when I first sensed her. Lena. The thought made my chest tighten, but I pushed it aside immediately. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Mark entered quietly, holding a cup of coffee. She's asking about you, he said, voice low. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? She's been asking around. People are talking. She wants to see you. She realizes what she lost. I smiled faintly, cold and sharp. Good. Let her realize. That's the lesson. Pain comes from too little too late. Mark frowned. Are you sure this is healthy? I'm sure, I said. I didn't survive for nostalgia. I didn't rebuild my life to be weak again. I survived to control my destiny. Everything else is just scenery. Later, I walked past the cafe where I used to meet her. My stomach twisted, but I didn't falter. She wasn't there, but I could imagine her, panicked, anxious, realizing the cost of her choices. I let the image burn in my mind. It fueled me. It reminded me why I chose hunger over love. I returned to the mansion, poring over contracts and plans. The mansion felt alive now, buzzing with energy. I was no longer the man who begged for scraps. I was the man others now had to consider carefully. The man who could not be ignored. Mark came to me later, holding a tablet. She contacted one of our mutual friends. She's desperate. She knows what she lost. I leaned back in my chair, hands steepled. And she wants a second chance, he said quietly. I chuckled, low and dark. She wants a second chance. Funny how it always comes after the damage is done. Mark shook his head. Do you ever feel pity? I shook my head firmly. No. I feel clarity. She left me when I was weak. She abandoned me when I needed her. I didn't beg. I didn't chase. I survived, and she's realizing too late. That's all. Days passed. I noticed her around town, trying to rebuild bridges, pleading quietly with friends and acquaintances. Each encounter was a dagger, but I didn't flinch. I watched, learned, and let the universe deliver the lesson she refused to accept years ago. One evening, she appeared at the gates of my mansion. Rain soaked her hair, her coat clinging to her thin frame. I watched from the balcony, silent. Mark stayed beside me, quietly observing. She raised her hand, as if to knock. Hesitated. Then lowered it, looking small and powerless. "Alex," she called softly, voice trembling. I didn't move. I didn't answer. Silence was my shield now. Silence was the reminder of what she lost. Silence was the punishment she refused to face before. Mark whispered, "Go down there. Hear her out." I shook my head. No. I've already heard enough. I've already suffered enough. Silence is louder than any apology. Hunger over love. Always. Her sobs grew louder, echoing against the gates. I was wrong. I didn't know. Please, please forgive me. I need you. I clenched my fists. I could feel the fire inside me, the old pain transforming into power. I remembered every night alone, every tear shed in desperation, every humiliation. And I smiled faintly. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Mark stepped back, giving me space. You've done enough. Let her see it for herself. I nodded. She had done enough to herself. No intervention required. Later that night, I walked through the mansion halls, letting the silence wrap around me. Each room, each hallway, each window was a monument to my second chance. My life, my rules, my empire. Nothing could touch it. Nothing could touch me. I remembered the night she left, drenched in rain, suitcase in hand, eyes full of cold calculation. I remembered begging silently for her to stay. I remembered the ache, the loneliness, the weakness. And I remembered the vow I made the moment she vanished. I would never be weak again. I would never beg again. I would never let love cloud my judgment. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. Hunger over love. The next morning, she tried again, contacting friends, calling numbers she once knew, searching for the man she abandoned. Each attempt brought her closer to realization and further from forgiveness. She had burned the bridges herself. She had chosen the path that led to regret, and now she was walking it alone. Mark entered my study, a slight grin on his face. "She's realizing it," he said. I nodded. Good. Let her feel the weight of her choices. She chose comfort over loyalty, and now she sees what she missed. That's the lesson. Pain teaches more than words ever could. Later, I met her briefly across the street. Her eyes were red, her coat soaked, her hands trembling. She looked smaller than I remembered, more vulnerable, more human. But I didn't flinch. I didn't speak. I let the distance between us carry the weight of the years, the betrayals, and the lessons. She took a step forward. "Alex, please." I remained silent. Silence was my answer. Silence was my power. Silence was my final word. Mark leaned close. "You're sure?" I nodded firmly. "She has to see it herself. I've said all I need. Hunger over love. Focus over weakness. Control over desperation. She has to learn the hard way, just like I did." Evening fell, and I stood on the balcony of my mansion, watching the city lights twinkle. She was gone now, retreating into the shadows, finally understanding the cost of what she lost. I felt no glee, no triumph, only calm, clarity, and focus. My life was mine. My empire was mine. My rules were mine. I whispered to the night, "I am alive. I am free." And I will never be left behind again. Mark joined me, handing me a cup of tea. She's learning, he said. Yes, I replied, voice steady. Too late to change anything. That's the cost of choices, of betrayal. And I have everything now because I survived. Because I rose. Because I chose hunger over love. He nodded silently, understanding the finality of it all. Later, I walked through the mansion, each step echoing my determination. The walls, the floors, the rooms, they all bore witness to my transformation. Every night alone, every tear shed, every moment of weakness had led me here. Stronger. Smarter. Unstoppable. And for the first time, I truly understood the meaning of survival. Not just endurance, not just revenge, not just wealth, but the complete reclamation of self. Hunger over love. Always. And with that, the past finally felt like it belonged behind me, a memory that fueled my strength rather than my weakness. The night was quiet, the city lights blurred through the rain-slick streets below my balcony. I had prepared for this moment for years, every sleepless night, every blistered hand, every plan I had executed perfectly had led me here. Lena. She was finally going to see what she had lost. Mark came up behind me, silent as always. Tonight, he said softly, she'll realize everything. I know, I replied, voice low and steady. And she deserves it. She left me when I was at my lowest. She abandoned me. Now, she'll watch me rise while she's still standing in the ruins she made for herself. Mark frowned. Do you ever feel anything for her? Even a little? I shook my head firmly. No. Not anymore. I feel clarity. Power. Lessons learned. Hunger over love. Always. The phone buzzed. Unknown number. My pulse didn't quicken. I answered. Alex? Her voice trembled, soaked with desperation. Please. I need to see you. I was wrong. I said nothing. Silence was my weapon now. Silence was the reminder she never gave me back then. Silence was the lesson she needed to learn. Alex, she begged. I'm begging. Please, forgive me. I closed my eyes, feeling the fire rise in my chest. Every tear I had shed alone, every night I had waited for her, every moment I had been weak, it all crystallized into sharp clarity. I had survived, I had risen, and she had to witness the result. Mark stepped back. You don't have to answer, he whispered. I don't, I said. She needs to see for herself. I hung up. My heart was calm, but my mind was sharp. I was no longer a man who begged. I was no longer a man who faltered. I was the man who had reclaimed everything, the mansion, the wealth, the power, the respect. And she was about to realize it. Later, I walked down the steps of the mansion, the gates wide before me. I could see her standing on the street, soaked, trembling, eyes wide as she took in the grandeur she had ignored years ago. The rain ran down her face, blending with the tears she refused to control. Alex, she called, voice cracking. Please. Wait. I need you. I stopped, letting the wind and distance carry my presence. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I let silence dominate, let it carry the weight of every betrayal, every abandonment, every heartbreak. Mark whispered, this is it. You're in control now. I am, I replied softly, almost to myself. Control is everything. She took a step forward, then froze, realizing the gates, the mansion, the life she had missed. Her lips trembled. I was wrong. I left you. I can't believe. I studied her carefully. Every expression, every shiver, every faltering movement was a testament to the consequences she now faced. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell. I didn't chase. I let her feel the cost of her choices. Mark touched my shoulder lightly. You don't have to say anything, he reminded me. I don't, I said. Silence speaks louder than anything I could say. Hunger over love. Focus over weakness. Control over desperation. She fell to her knees on the wet street, finally realizing the gravity of what she had done. I watched, cold but calm. The rain soaked her, the tears mingled with the storm, and every sob she uttered echoed the emptiness she had created in my life. I need you. Please. I'll do anything, she cried. I clenched my fists, feeling the fire inside me sharpen. Every failure, every heartbreak, every lonely night had led to this. Every tear she shed now was a mirror of what I had endured. I could feel the power surging in me, control, precision, clarity. I had survived. I had conquered. She had realized too late. Mark stepped back silently. She's learning, he said. Yes, I whispered. Finally. She's learning the cost of abandonment. She's learning that choices have consequences. That actions have weight. That hunger over love is stronger than any apology she can give. She looked up, rain-soaked and desperate, eyes wide. Alex, please, don't. I shook my head slowly, stepping back. No. Not this time. I'm done waiting. I'm done begging. I'm done being weak. The past is the past, and I've built a life without you. You will see it, and you will understand. But I will not let you touch it. The wind howled as I walked back toward the mansion, every step deliberate. Every breath, every heartbeat was proof of the man I had become. She called after me, but her words were swallowed by the storm. Mark followed silently. You're sure? I nodded firmly. She has to feel it. She has to see it. I've already paid my dues. I've already suffered. Now, it's her turn to understand the cost of betrayal. Later, I stood on the balcony, looking down at the street. The rain had slowed, the city lights shimmering through the mist. She was gone now, retreating into the shadows, finally grasping what she had lost. I felt no glee, no triumph, only calm, clarity, and focus. My life was mine. My empire was mine. My rules were mine. Mark handed me a cup of tea. She's learning, he said quietly. Yes, I replied, voice steady. She's learning that love cannot survive betrayal. That second chances are earned, not begged for. That hunger over love is the only path to survival. The mansion felt alive now, every room a testament to my endurance, every hallway a monument to my strength. I walked through it slowly, letting the silence carry the weight of all I had endured. I am alive, I whispered to the empty halls. I am free. I am unstoppable. Mark nodded, understanding the gravity of it all. You've done more than survive. You've risen. Yes, I said softly. I've risen. I've reclaimed what was mine. And I will never be left behind again. Hunger over love. Always. I turned from the balcony, feeling the warmth of the mansion surround me. The gates were closed, the past sealed, and the future stretched ahead, bright, limitless, and mine. Lena had realized too late. I had survived, and nothing could touch me now, not her, not anyone. I whispered into the night, I am alive. I am free. I am complete. And I will never let anyone leave me behind again. I stood at the top of the mansion steps, the gates stretching wide before me, the wind cutting cold against my face. The city lights shimmered below, but I didn't look at them. My eyes were fixed on the street behind the gates, where Lena would eventually appear if she dared. Mark leaned against the railing. You're really going to do this? Yes, I said. I'm closing the past behind me. I've waited long enough. I've suffered enough. And now, it ends. You could still see her, he said quietly. Talk. Forgive. Move forward together. I shook my head. No. Not together. I don't forgive for her sake. I forgive for mine. And I don't need her in my life to feel complete. A soft noise behind me made me turn. Lena stood there, drenched again, her eyes wide and red, just like years ago. She froze when she saw the mansion, the gates, the grandeur, the life I had built without her. Alex, she whispered. I didn't move. I didn't answer. Silence was my shield now. Silence was power. Silence was justice. I know I was wrong, she stammered. I left you when you needed me. I thought I was choosing security, but I didn't realize. You didn't realize? I said quietly. Do you know how many nights I waited for you to come back? Do you know how many times I begged for a word, a glance, anything? I'm sorry, she said, tears spilling freely. I was selfish. I was blind. I need you. Mark stepped back silently, giving me space. I studied her, every detail, the way she trembled, the rain soaking her hair, the desperation in her eyes. And I remembered every betrayal, every tear I had shed. I've seen your pain, I said slowly. I've lived it. I've carried it. And I've grown stronger because of it. Do you understand what that means? Yes, she whispered, her voice breaking. I do. I can't take it back, Alex. I never realized until now. I stepped closer, my eyes cold but steady. No. You can't. And I won't let you hurt me again. Not today. Not ever. She fell to her knees, the rain soaking her completely. Please. Please forgive me. I'll do anything. Anything. I stayed silent. I didn't move. I didn't speak. Silence was louder than any words I could say. Silence was my way of showing her the cost of her choices. Mark's hand touched my shoulder. You've done enough. Let her see it for herself. I didn't need him to tell me. I had built my life, brick by brick, step by step, without her. She had chased stability and lost sight of love. Now she could see the life she abandoned, the life she refused to fight for. Lena's sobs grew louder. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I need you. I know, I said softly, but my voice carried steel. I know. And that knowledge is enough. You've paid your price. She looked up, desperation clinging to her face. Alex, please. I won't come down there, I said, stepping back. You have to live with what you chose. You have to face yourself. Not me. The wind swept past us, carrying the sound of the city. She fell forward, her face against the wet stone. I felt a strange pull in my chest, a flicker of what I used to feel, but I crushed it. Hunger over love. Focus over weakness. Control over desperation. Goodbye, Lena, I said quietly. She looked up, eyes wide, trembling. Please, don't close the gate. I walked slowly toward the mansion, each step deliberate. My hands rested on the cold iron. I pushed the lock, feeling the mechanism click into place. The gates began to swing closed. Alex, wait, she shouted, but the sound was swallowed by the night. I paused, my hand on the latch. I could have opened it, let her in, forgiven her, let the past consume me again. I thought of every tear, every betrayal, every lonely night. I thought of every opportunity one had seized, every lesson I had learned. No, I whispered. This is for me. Always for me. The gates swung fully closed, sealing the past behind me. The mansion loomed ahead, warm and solid. My empire, my life, my rules. I could breathe freely for the first time in years. Mark stepped beside me. You did it, he said quietly. I nodded. I closed the gate. I don't need her anymore. I've survived. I've thrived. And I'll keep going. Alone if I have to. He smiled faintly. You're free, Alex. Yes, I said, voice steady. Free. Not because I forgave her, not because she asked for it, but because I finally chose myself. I'm done begging. I'm done waiting. I'm done being weak. Inside, the mansion smelled of polished wood and new beginnings. I walked through the halls, each step echoing my resolve. This was my world now. Not hers. Not anyone else's. Mine. Later that night, I stood at the balcony, looking down at the city. The wind brushed against my face, carrying memories, lessons, and the ghosts of my past life. Lena's cries were gone now, replaced by silence. Perfect, cold, just like I wanted. Mark joined me, handing me a cup of tea. You've earned this, he said. I took it, smiling faintly. I earned more than this. I earned myself. Every tear, every betrayal, every failure led me here. And I'm not going back. Do you ever think about her? He asked. I paused. Sometimes, I admitted. But only to remind myself why I can't go back. Hunger over love. Always. She's a memory, nothing more. And I choose life. I choose power. I choose me. The night grew deeper, but I felt light, calm, and steady. The mansion behind me, the gates closed, I had finally taken control. No one could touch my life again, not her, not anyone. I whispered to the dark, the wind, the world itself, I survived. I rose. And I will keep rising. Mark nodded, understanding what I didn't need to say. The past was gone. The present was mine. And the future would be mine too. I turned from the balcony, walking into the warm glow of my home. The gates were closed. The past was sealed. And for the first time in my life, I was truly free.